Welcome back to our Auburn Recruiting Junkies. Yes, we are back with another Auburn transfer portal commitment video, and it's in the football realm still. We're going to be talking about the defensive side of the ball in this video. We got the quick facts for you for what you need to know about this individual, and of course, what it means for Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers. Before we do that, I want to welcome you back to the channel here at E2C Network, where we share the Auburn experience. It's all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family to us. It's orange and blue. It's what we do. So if you like what we do here, as always, we appreciate you smashing that like button. Getting into it today, it's been a nice little trend after all of the exciting basketball commitments of being focused on football and addressing some of those needs that were identified post-spring, because this is post-spring transfer portal, so quickly. So who is this brand new addition that's coming to join Auburn for 2025? Well, he's coming by way of Florida A&M, to be specific, and his name is James Ash, a defensive lineman who spent the last 3 years there. Now, previous to that, he came from Wake Forest, so he's got a little bit, or at least one season of experience, what a power conference is like, while spending his last few years at Florida A&M, getting better and better each and every year. Now, the question becomes, what type of player on the defensive front is he going to be? What type of defensive lineman? Well, I think there's probably some debate there, maybe some flexibility for that. He's listed at about 6'4", 280 currently on the website for Florida A&M, and it looks like that's carried over through most of the other information sites that you can find out there. So to me, I think you've got some wiggle room on measurables on what he could be utilized as. I love the word versatility and players being versatile, as you know, but I'm just going to step out on a limb here and call him more of a defensive end than a defensive interior guy like we just talked about yesterday with another commitment. So that's kind of where I'm placing him for now, at least. You guys can debate me if you disagree with that. Now, a big factor in his commitment to Auburn, because he didn't really seem to have a lot of familiarity with them, was Vontrell King-Williams, the coach for the defensive tackle specifically as he's listed. But I think we can all recognize at this point and probably assumed he was going to have a heavy hand across the defensive line, maybe with his focus being on defensive tackles, but he's yet again just continuing to win as a great recruiter, a great young recruiter, a great coach for Auburn. 2 days in a row now that he has gotten somebody to come and be part of the Tigers program, and he is just firing on all cylinders at this point with somebody with experience, even from a smaller level of football compared to the SEC. Now, what type of stats is James Ash bringing to the table? Let's definitely take a look at that on ESPN. And as you can see, we're not looking at his Wake Forest numbers, but we are looking at his time at FAMU. Obviously, in that 2022 season, the first recorded stats, not a lot, but it gets very much better throughout each of those years. 25 tackles in 2023, then 44 in his final year, including 2.5 sacks and 1 pass deflection in that final season, getting more and more versatile, more and more involved throughout the wholeness of the defensive game and not just being a tackling guy. You'd love to see that, and progressing throughout his entire career. I think he was second team All-SEC, not All-SEC, All-Conference for his particular league. So that's another little accolade for him right there. Now that you got to know him, know some quick facts, let's talk about what it means. What does this commitment mean, especially at the time of his commitment? We'll look at positions of where he's going to play, opportunities there, and first, let's start with the class numbers. At the time of his commitment, it made it 18 total transfers in this class for 2025 for Auburn football. Now, that's at the time of his commitment, and we're not even counting in all the high school recruits. It's well over into the 30s now if you count them all together in that specific group. Now, I don't think that there's a lot of other ones that are going to fall into his category here. I could be wrong, missing someone right now. We've talked recently about some interior guys. You could argue that they're all going to kind of mix in together, but right now, 18 total commitments and addressing some of those needs really quickly in the transfer portal is pretty impressive for this transfer portal class for Hugh Freeze. What does it mean in terms of his playing time? How is all that going to work out? Well, again, assuming he's going to be a defensive end type of guy, that's my assumption. I'm going to compare him to what's available there now and compare him to the guy. In fact, if you look at Keldrick Falk, they measure up pretty similarly, just with a little bit of variance. Like James Ash is a little bit shorter than him, but heavier than him, and vice versa, obviously. So it looks to be pretty comparable. Keldrick Faulk's obviously going to be the guy at that position, and rightfully so. You got Amaris Williams, who's been around for a while and was convinced to come back, so obviously there's a heavy investment in him, so you can expect him to play a lot. Then you got a bunch of other younger guys that are just getting here. So it looks to me like that he's going to fit nicely in that rotation as the experienced guy that they can count on in a pinch, especially when Keldrick needs a rest or Amaris is still kind of learning his way if he's still needing some time to come along. I don't know if that's exactly how it's going to work out, but it makes some logical sense to me in terms of his playing time and what we might be able to expect from him. What does his commitment mean for the rest of this recruiting class? Well, of course, we're not done yet, because if you're watching this at this current time, you know there was one more we'll be doing a video about soon. So go check out all the other ones that we've also done and will be doing. But in terms of this position, Coach Hugh Freeze didn't give some specific numbers, if I remember, what numbers he wanted at what positions post-spring in the transfer portal. But it was a couple of guys on the defensive front. You feel like you could always use those. You've now got an interior guy who we've already done a video about, and now what will likely be more of a defensive end guy, or could be utilized wherever on the defensive line. So that's two guys with experience that are being brought in to shore up that depth chart. You got to think that those needs have been met. While I would never say that we're done, if a good opportunity presents itself for them and someone else to come to Auburn, certainly they'll take it. But it's starting to feel like those needs have been met. We'd love to know from you. What do you think about James Ash coming to be with the Tigers for 2025 in his final year of competition? We'd love to know from you down in the comments section below. As always, thanks for hanging out with us today here at E2C Network, where we share the Auburn experience. War Eagle.